Hello, everyone. Financial planning is a topic I think most of you are still figuring it out. Even I am also trying to figure out and understand what financial planning suits for my budget and it can also safeguard my future. In today's podcast, we will be talking about financial planning. Welcome to the Somnath Show. Today, our guest is a financial planner. Yes, she is a certified financial planner and she has been helping others by giving financial advices. So, without wasting time, let's welcome Ruchika. Um, Welcome, Ruchika, and thank you for coming on the TSS, the Somnath show. As you are a certified financial planner, I think it's a wonderful platform where we can discuss and understand more about the importance of financial planning. So, why financial planning is important according to you?
Thank you, Somnath, for having me here. It's indeed a pleasure to be a part of this show. Financial planning. Yes, financial planning is the process of defining financial goals and quantifying it, keeping in the inflation factor in place, and then having an investment plan to meet your goals. So financial planning is important because it prepares us for any unexpected, unforeseen financial um, uncertainties, expenditure, and makes our future secure. Like for example, you see, if someone falls sick, then what happens? We call the doctor. So doctor advises, does the diagnosis, इसको ये हुआ है, इसको ये हुआ है, इतना दवाई ले लो, इतने दिन के लिए ले लो. एक पूरा एक prescription, he, chops out the prescription. So I will just relate financial planning with that only. So आपका क्या, how much you earn, how much you, what are your expenses, how much you need to save, आपको ये खरीदना है, आपको वो खरीदना है, you want to buy a car. So, but how to go about it? How do we do this? How do we plan this? I have a big dream, but is it achievable? Is my goal achievable? So financial planning is such a process which, gives us a clear idea as to how can we achieve those goals that we are thinking about and how can we go about doing it. How that
Wonderful. I think financial planning is important. But again, the question comes, when it comes to financial planning, it's more or less like a gray area where most of us have informations in bits and pieces, and we do not have that ability to analyze, understand our present economical or financial situation, and then make or prepare ourselves for the future. As you said, like if I am, one thing is like vacation, that is something which I can plan. But there can be unplanned expenses like hospitalization, right? So how do I, prioritize? So keeping it very simple, if I am a common person, consider me that I have very minimal understanding of financial planning. What should be my starting point? That how should I prioritize my expenses and start with the financial planning?
Yes, so how do I prioritize my expenses? We need to make a list. First, what is important to you? When we talk about goals, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house, I want to go for a vacation. And, so these are certain goals that we look at. And so we have to prioritize, we have to make a list which are more important for you. And then the next step is we need to make our goals smart. Smart as in um specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Like suppose if I say I want to buy a car, and then if I say I want to save rupees 7 lakhs to buy a car in 2 years, you see the difference. The first one is just a wish, and the second one is a smart financial goal, isn't it? Yeah. So it gives you a little clear scenario, you know. Then step 3 is work it out. Like for example, when we talk about saving 7 lakh in 2 years to buy a car. So now how much shall I start investing now so that I reach that goal? So, we need to spend approximately 26,000 per month in order to achieve that goal of accumulating 7 lakh rupees to buy a car in 2 years. And then now we again analyze that do you think that I can save 26,000 per month? If we can save, well and good, we can save 7 lakhs in 2 years to buy a car. And if we are not able to save, then what we do is we postpone our goal. And if we are able to save little more, then there are two things. Either we buy a car a little sooner than the time frame that we had given to ourselves, or we can spend a little more money. Instead of buying a car worth 7 lakh rupees, we can look at buying a car worth 10 lakh rupees. So, everything is...
Okay.
Sure.
I have one. Sorry, I have one question, because when it comes to car, I think for us it's something very interesting, topic of discussion. Now, why I can correlate this because I see a new car, right? And then I feel like I need it. Now, as if I go with the financial planning and I think I plan, I do it, it might take few months or maybe a year. By that time, there might be something new which has come in the market, right? So it is more like impulse rather than planning, which we usually do it.
Absolutely.
You get my point? So how do we have a balance of, like I want to fulfill my wish at a faster rate and not, in a very long term financial planning, rigid planning, and you make it like, I'm standing at 24, in another 2 years, I need to have a Mercedes Benz or something like that. Nothing fancy like that. I want a car. And how can I do it at the earliest? Is there anything
As
like
I
that?
rightly said, as I just now said, that the more you save towards fulfillment of your financial goal, the faster you can achieve your goal. There are chances that if you are saving more than the required amount, then you can prepone your goal. Okay. And this is a very subjective topic. It is different for every individual because your priority may be buying a car in 2 years. Then there can be another person whose priority is going out for a vacation in next 6 months because all his friends are going. He may not require a car. He's okay using public transport to commute. It is different. And the amount required, the corpus required to fund your goal may be different for all individuals. And it also depends upon your salary, how much you are saving, how much you can save towards that funding of that goal. So financial planning is customized as per the individual needs, his priorities, and it is different for all individuals. No two plans can be same. And regarding, yes, you just now saying that you are saving for to fund a particular goal and something else comes up. And you get inclined towards that. You feel कि उसको छोड़ो, उसको delay कर देते हैं, ये वाला पहले कर देते हैं. So that is completely on you. I mean, no one can, if doctor is giving you medicine, if you don't take the medicine, और आप जाके आइसक्रीम खा लिए, so इसमें तो डॉक्टर कुछ नहीं कर सकता ना.
Right.
Yes, so that much self-control you have to have if you want your goals to be fulfilled.
Okay. So I've also come to know something. There is a 50-30-20 rule is there. If I want to buy maybe an asset, it can be a liability either. But should we always follow this? And what is this 50-30-20 rule, first of all? And how one can implement it before going ahead with any purchase or buying some asset, maybe?
See, the 50-30-20 rule is a budgeting principle where it says that whatever is your salary, you divide it into 3 parts. 50% of it goes towards fulfillment of your needs. Your needs can be your basic expenditure, like your expenses on your food, your rent, your basic food, electricity bill, water bill, your kids' education, and these basic expenses, which are fixed month on. The 30% of it goes towards your wants. Like these are a little above than your basic expenses. Like, by doing these expenses, your lifestyle gets enhanced. Like, for example, you want to go for a movie, you want to go to a restaurant, or you just want to have some fun, you want to party, or maybe once in a while you want to buy a mobile phone. These are your wants. Without them, also, you can live. Those are not important for your basic sustainability. And the 20% is your investment. So this budgeting principle becomes important when a person has just started earning, he has just started working, and he is in the initial stages of his career. So what happens generally if the salary is a bit on the low and lower side, and the budget becomes little on the tighter side. So at times we get lost. We don't know how to save money. We feel कि सारा पैसा तो खर्च हो गया, कुछ सेव ही नहीं किया, महीने के में कुछ बचा ही नहीं. So at that time, if we make a list of all these items, your income, expenses, and we make this ratio, then we will definitely be able to save the 20%, which will go towards our investment. It's actually an eye opener.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, rightly said. But there is also a concept these days which is increasingly gaining importance, or maybe a popularity, you can say, is like people are saying, okay, live today, don't worry about tomorrow. So whatever you are earning, you work like a workhorse from Monday to Friday, and weekends you spend everything. Don't worry, insurance is there to take care of all it. And I think the Westerners made it very popular, which is in India also. I see this Gen Zs are more or less falling into it. In contrast to our parents or our previous generations, they believed more on rigorous savings, right? So how do you see that?
Well, I, being a financial planner, would definitely go with our parents' perspective. Because, say, one thing is important. Financial planning is also important to protect us from any unforeseen, circumstances. Suppose we meet with any accident, there's any illness or a loss of a job. So then what do we do? If we have not planned something, if we have not set aside any kind of emergency fund to meet with the sudden expenses, then how do we sustain ourselves? And suppose this becomes even more important if you have dependents, like maybe dependent parents or spouse or children or whatever. So it is very, very important to create that kind of fund with us, the emergency fund, and also savings. And then once you have it, you are tension free. Then maybe once in a while you can splurge or indulge. Yes. And
Makes sense. So as per your 50-30-20 rule, 20% is without
that's the
saying
one
what
you have
save,
to invest.
right?
Save. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like that should be your fund size for emergency purposes, or for emergency purposes you should have a separate fund which you can bank on when you are in a
See,
crisis.
here I'll say one thing. 50-30-20 ratio is quite subjective. See, I give you an example of a person who has just started working. So I told you the budget is a little tight. So if he follows this kind of rule, and if he lists down everything, it becomes easy for him to save money, at least 20% of his salary. But what happens as time passes, he reaches his 30s, his income also, salary also increases. Yeah, it may be possible that now his commitments and his expenditure has increased. He is married now. Maybe he has kids. But see, it is not hard. There's no hard and fast rule that his expenses would always be 50% of his salary. If his salary has increased quite a lot, then this ratio can change, and it keeps changing as your income increases. you can invest low. Then 50-30 ratio can change as per the person. All right? Yeah. And then, can you please?
So this increase in the savings amount. So is it directly proportional to the direct increment you are having in your salary, or see increase can
Yes,
be
of
more
course.
than
But
many,
there's the
right?
wants वाला
But
season that also come into play. You have to keep a control. अगर बहुत पैसा आ गया, then you immediately go for an international vacation. So then, that ratio can increase also 50-40 can be also. You never know. So, a proper planning, a proper conscious decision needs to be taken before spending. Yes, and you also,
I have a small.
you also
Yeah,
talked about emergency fund. Yes, emergency fund is important, and it becomes important at the start of your career only. Because जैसे मैंने बोला अभी, in case आपका, if you meet with an accident or any illness or loss of job, then how do you sustain yourself? And you might take 3-4 months to get another job. So in such cases, an emergency fund, if you have, then it can sustain you till you get another job or till you find any other source of income. Now, what should be size of an emergency fund? It should be at least 6 months of your expenses for your needs. Like if your salary is 1 lakh, then 50% is your expenses towards your need. So 50 into 6, 300, 3 lakh rupees should be your emergency fund at least. And if it is anything between 6 months of the savings amount to 12 months of the saving amounts, then it's good.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so that will be safeguarding you during your crisis time. Okay. So I have a very a different question maybe. Like somebody walks into you for an advice. Okay. So what are the set of questions you ask? Because if you have to give some guidance or financial planning advice to somebody, what are the initial questions you ask?
Delicious questions. Good question. uh, of course, I would like to know who are there in his family. How many members are there in his family? Whether he's married or not. Is he the only member of his family? And what is his income? And what are his expenses like? Because that's important to create a budget. Without that, the financial planning cannot be done. And then I would like to ask him, what are his financial goals? And in order of priority. And then we need to decide. Then the next step would be, while making the plan, you categorize the goals into a short term, a medium term, and a long term. So, these things need to be known by me in order to create a plan for it.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good take, I must say. And people who are at a younger age who have started their jobs, if they do it early on, I think they can get the
Absolutely.
benefit out of it.
Now, I'll give you one example. So, a 25-year-old man, if we talk to him about his retirement planning, he might say, come on, I'm just 25. I'm retired not before 60.
Yeah.
So why plan from now? Let's wait till I at least reach 40. But I feel that that's not the right approach. If you do not have any too much expenses now, if you do not have a lot of dependence, you are saving enough money. And then if you start investing from now at the age of 25, then you will not realize, but you will create a huge corpus at the time of retirement that will work as a retirement corpus more than what you actually require now. So it's always good to start investing early.
Yeah, yeah, true, totally right. And I think who all will be watching this, they should definitely start doing it right now.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it's a-
Or every time is a good
Right.
time to start investment. We just need to know how to go about it.
And coming maybe a very basic question. So if I start investing, is any amount well small
You we have
to invest?
Hindi में we always say ना बूंद बूंद से समंदर बनता है. You know, even if you start investing 500 rupees, you will not realize that if you stay invested for a long term, maybe 10 years or 20 years, you will not realize that 500 can become a huge amount.
Correct. I totally agree. So coming to a more serious question is, how do I create a realistic financial
Yes,
goal?
important question. Yes. A bit of it I have already said earlier. First, we need to list down. We need to make a list of our financial goals. What is important to us? What do we want? Like, I want to go for a vacation. I want to go for an international vacation. I want a car. I want a house, and etc. Whatever is the for. I want a mobile phone. First, make a list of all the goals. Then we need to make them smart. As in, we need to make them sustainable, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. All right. So by
So you can say five
yes,
mantra.
yes, smart financial goals. Yes, and the example that I gave you, if I say I just want to save money, so you are clueless. You don't know how much to save. You can say 500 or you can say 50,000, right? But then if you decide that I want to save 5 lakh for an international vacation in 1 year. So this is a smart goal because this is giving you numbers. You know, you can do a calculation as to how much should I spend, how much I need to save now to get that rupees 5 lakh in 1 year's time. So once you do, you list down all your goals, we categorize goals into 3 parts, like short term, medium term, and long term. So the short term goals can be anything that any financial goal that you want to fulfill within 2 to 3 years, 1 to 3 years, I would say. Okay. So creating an emergency fund is the most important short term goal. So when you start, as I said, when you start just started working, you have limited money to save. So first and foremost, you should work towards creating an emergency fund, and then maybe you can fund your other short-term needs, like I want to buy a mobile, I want to go for a weekend getaway somewhere where you're not spending too much. Then comes your medium-term goals. Medium-term goals are something where the time horizon is anything between 3 to 6 years or 7 years. Like if I am unmarried and I would like to get married in the next 5 years. So, and I wish to save money for my marriage. I want some expenses to be taken care of myself. So you can look for that. If you want to go for any further education, you can save for that's a short-term goal. You can save for that. Sorry, a medium-term goal. You can save for that. And you want to go for a vacation, a small vacation. You want to buy a mobile. You want to buy a car. These are like examples of medium-term goals. Then we have long-term goals. So retirement planning is an important long-term goal. The time frame can be 40 years, 35 years, depending upon your age. Buying a big house. So the down payment for a big house. Then if you have kids, planning for kids' education. These days, we all know that kids' education has become expensive. And if you want to send our children abroad, then it becomes even more expensive. But I know people who have realistically planned for their kids' education. They start investing when the child is born, or maybe the child is 2-3 years old. So child which is 17, 18 years old, they have a good corpus towards using which they can fund the child's education. So it's always good to start early.
Okay. Now, coming to, we have listed down, made it into 3 classifications: our immediate requirements, our mid or little bit long-term requirements. Now, we have always heard about 2 terminologies, that is asset versus liability, right? Now for me, now I feel always this is a very debatable topic, because I want to buy a car that for me is like an asset, right? But it may not be an asset, it may be a liability because of the value, depreciation, and other factors, right? So, something, when you have an object and then you have an emotional binding to it, then also this classification of asset and liability works together, or we should always follow the classical, definition of demarking this as asset and that as liability. How do we one should approach that?
Assets are something which is of financial value to you, which can generate income over a long term period. So, buying a car has an emotional value, of course, but it is a depreciating asset. Because, see, as we keep using the car due to wear and tear and accident and insurance, etc., it depreciates and becomes a liability. So, we as financial advisors would definitely advise our clients to not overspend on cars. Buy a car worth the amount which makes life comfortable for you. So if buying a car worth 10 lakh rupees is making you feel comfortable and giving you a good sense of possession, then why do you have to spend 30-40 lakh rupees in buying a car?
Right, I think you are right. We need to have a deep dive onto this topic in some time. Okay, coming on to another very debatable topic, maybe to buy a house or rent.
Uh, buy a house or rent. Of course, buying a house is, uh, preferable, because ultimately it is your own property. You're paying so much rent every day. But then we need to be practical. As I said, we need to make a budget, we need to work out our financial goals, we need to do our financial planning. So, buying a house, and it also depends upon your requirement. Like if you are married and if you have a lot of members in your family, then maybe you require a flat which is like a 3 BHK or a 4 BHK, right? A 2 BHK flat would not suffice. So it doesn't make sense to buy a 2 BHK flat right now. I mean, take a loan and, down payment for a 2 BHK flat. So my advice would be to postpone this goal and save money for it, so that you have enough money for down payment of a 4 BHK flat, because for your family that much is sufficient. So till that time you can go for a rented house. And when you have collected, saved that much money for the down payment of a 4 BHK, then probably you can look at buying that. But one should always aim at possessing one's own house. With planning, we can decide what should be the time frame and what should be the money required towards purchase of that. At the start of your career, renting a house is a good option when you're trying to establish your income or your salary. So, and it can be cheaper than buying a house if the house market is expensive. Moreover, the rent that you are paying is generally less than the EMI for the buying a similar house. And you also get benefits under the HRA. Now, if you have saved sufficient money, then over a long-term period, you can think of buying a house. It's a good long-term decision, as you are, it gives you, buying a house gives you a sense of security. It is an asset which you can leave for your family members. But yes, by possessing a house comes with a lot of costs, like maintenance costs, unexpected expenses, and also the property taxes.
Because it's a very debatable topic. If I listen to one person, they will say, renting is far better. It is much advisable. You have the flexibility to upgrade your, flat where you are staying. And as you said rightly also, that if you own a property, first of all, it gives a sense of, you own something. Second is like, yeah. So second is like, on as a property is there, property values these days, real estate is already in India is booming like anything. So that will also eventually will give you a good return. That's what I see. But these are all has to be planned properly well ahead and understand the present
Yes,
situation, right?
absolutely. Yes, it is. It has a plan. And one thing I must say that yes, real estate prices are increasing. But when you are buying a house for your personal stay, then you are not getting any, monetary benefit out of it because you are just using it for your personal stay. It is your house, you're using it to stay. And additionally, like if you are looking at investing in another property apart from your the residential place, then that house, that property will have investment value. It can, give you some monetary income also. Like you let it out, you put it on rent, and you get rental income out of it. So that is another aspect of buying a property.
So I think you have recently established a firm of your own, right?
Yeah, actually, I am working as an independent financial advisor. Yes.
So what else solutions do you offer?
We offer mutual funds, term insurance, and health insurance as of now.
Oh wow. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, these all the three areas are also very interesting. So, little bit. What is your expertise on mutual
Yes.
funds? Right. Great. So, बिल्कुल सही है. Okay. So that is where we see a lot of advertisements where the mutual fund sahi hai, that this tagline really works well. And compared to like 10 years, 15 years back, standing today, I think most of the people, whatever savings they do it, mutual fund is their first choice of savings. So is it something right? Or is it something people should be doing it more aggressively?
See, before we come to mutual funds, I must say one thing that before, parking our savings in any kind of investment, protection is very important. Is protection in the form of we need term insurance and we need health insurance. Why we need term insurance, life insurance? Because suppose you are the earning member of the family. If God forbid something happens to you, you die, then what will happen to your family? Then in that case, the life insurance takes care of all your dependents. And health insurance. We have seen that after COVID, health insurance has become so much in importance. So everyone should have a health insurance. Then comes the investment part. So mutual fund. Mutual fund is a wonderful investment vehicle. It has investment solutions for all categories of people. Whether you want to invest 500 rupees or you want to invest 5 lakh rupees. It is. And we have so many types of funds. Depending upon, just like we do financial planning, there is also a way understanding of the risk appetite of an individual. We have aggressive funds, we have hybrid funds. Depending upon the individual's financial goals, depending upon the market scenario and the risk appetite of the person and the time frame of the investment, there are very good funds available in the market. It's never too late to invest. Start investing, choose the right fund, do asset allocation.
But there is also a statutory warning. It comes, no? Mutual funds are subject to market risk. So should, what precautions can one take so that that market risk doesn't hit
Yes,
the person?
absolutely. That's a very important thing. Markets are volatile, and it is not, and you cannot completely avoid the market risk when you invest in mutual funds. However, we can minimize the market risks. How? First is we choose the right fund. Choose the funds that match your risk tolerance, your investment objective, and your financial goals. Second is do diversify and do asset allocation. So we should look at investing in funds which invest in different asset classes, sectors, and also we can diversify across different mutual fund houses. Third is invest regularly. We should do SIPs. SIPs means systematic investment plan. So we should invest a particular amount regularly at regular intervals. Generally, we do SIPs, people do SIPs on a monthly basis. Now, this can help us average out our costs and also reduce market volatility. Fourth is seek expert advice and review your portfolio. So we should always consult a investment advisor and make financial goals as per your needs and requirements, and then invest accordingly. You should review your portfolio periodically. We need to understand that depending upon the current situation, what is the right area to invest? Like, I am an investor, and any mutual fund advisor comes to me and tells me that आप फलाना APC फंड में इन्वेस्ट कर लीजिए, और मैंने आंख बंद करके APC फंड में इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, और मैंने ये नहीं देखा कि जो फंड है उसका इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, वो मेरे ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ मैच कर रहा है कि नहीं, वो कहाँ इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, वो कौन से स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, उसका पास्ट रिटर्न्स क्या है. ये कुछ बेसिक होमवर्क है जो हम लोगों we as an investors should also do. So it is always important that if someone is advising you any kind of mutual fund investment, you must ask a few questions. In these questions, there is this fund investing. What is the past 1 year or 3 years return for this fund? And you think the stocks where the funds are investing, are they overvalued or undervalued? You know, so it's, as I said, we as mutual fund advisors always see that what is the right time to invest in a particular fund. Or maybe I can say the other way around, like if the market scenario is such, so in the current market, what should be the right fund where I can make my investors invest. Second thing is asset allocation. Asset allocation is a very important thing. If we have done our asset allocation properly, it saves us from any kind of volatility of the market. Now, asset allocation can be individual asset classes wise also, and we can do the asset allocation in mutual funds also. So, but that's the key to your successful investment.
Interesting, but
Understood.
difficult to practice, because in a day-to-day life, if we have to do a lot of research,
Yes, absolutely.
and that's what you are doing it. So I think instead of we doing everything, we can definitely seek your help in that. Yeah, that's true. Great. So we had like mutual funds sahi hai, the campaign is going on, and more people are investing onto it. Do you think there is any risk factor down the lane another 15-20 years ahead? If mutual fund, like every other person is now investing there, right? And the investment levels have also gone up considerably high. But another 10-15 years, is your investment safe? Do you have any risk factors there? Obviously, market up and down, I understand that. But apart from that, anything?
See, here I would say that mutual funds are managed by very good fund managers, the good fund managers. So we need to trust our fund managers. But if they take care of our money and invest it at right places, so that we get least affected by market volatility. However, no one can say anything about the market. We cannot predict the market. Mutual funds are subjected to market risk, but the fund managers, they try that to protect the funds as much as possible, and so that the investors are subject to less volatility compared to the market, direct market, stock market. So we should choose funds and the fund houses with fund managers who have at least 10 years of good track record. Like, for example, I'll give you one example. ICICI Pru Multi-Asset Fund. Now, this fund is approximately 22 years old, and it has given approximately 20% return in the last 20 years. Now, this fund is being managed by Mr. Shankari Narain, who is an experienced fund manager. He's a fantastic fund manager, and he's also the CIO of ICICI Prudential Asset Management. Okay. So, do asset allocation, choose the right fund, seek expert advice, and stay invested.
Right, right. I think coming to another very related topic,
Yes,
the SIP. So, yeah, SIP, most of the youngsters these days are into SIP. And the effect of compounding, people are, capitalizing more and more these days. So, in SIP, what I understand in a simple plain language is I can, with minimal investment for a long term, I can enjoy and reap onto a larger corpus amount. But again, my point is, what are the pros? We know that part, right? Because that everyone is talking about. What are the cons of SIP?
What are the cons of SIP? I cannot think of any cons of SIP. SIP is a fantastic thing,
Okay.
and it helps us in a lot of ways. It automates our saving. And SIP, I hope you know, it is systematic investment plan. So every month we can invest a particular amount from our savings to a particular fund, and month on month that same amount keeps on investing in that fund, and a huge corpus is created at the end of maybe 20 years or 30 years or whatever time frame. And SIP also takes care of the volatility of the market. Like, suppose today the market is at 85,000 rupees, and we invest in a fund at a NAV of suppose 25 rupees. And after 2 months, the market has corrected. The market is suppose 70,000 rupees. Now that's a drastic correction. The investor might feel that, you know, I invested 85,000 rupees and now see the value of my money has reduced. So now what? So instead of getting okay, we must understand this, that now you are buying more units at lesser price. So it is taking care of that rupee cost averaging. You are buying more at lesser price. So at the end of maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years, you will see that uh, it is getting averaged out. You purchased some units at higher price and you purchase some units at a lower price. Net, ultimately, your corpus is getting created, and you are not getting, uh, your money is not getting lost, or I must say, your capital is not getting eroded if you purchased a particular fund at a higher NAV, some units at a higher NAV, because rupee cost averaging, it is all taking care of it. So that's a very important thing of SIP. It takes care of the market volatility. And yes, the power of compounding. It keeps on increasing your money if you look at the long-term horizon. Disciplined investing. So SIP will help investors develop disciplined approach to investing by regularly investing a set amount of money. Like I said, people generally do SIPs on a monthly basis. So every month they choose a date, and then that particular date, a set amount of money gets debited from their account and gets transferred to the mutual fund. And SIPs offer flexibility. So SIPs offer flexibility in terms of investment frequency and duration. Investors can start with a small investment and later on increase the value of investment. These are the advantages of SIP. I cannot think of any cons of SIP. However, I'll let you know what are the benefits of lump sum investment. Like, see, SIP is good for people with steady income, but for people with irregular and unexpected income, like a businessman, lump sum investment may be more suitable. Or maybe if any salaried person or people with regular income, they get some bonus or they get any income from any other source, then they can do some lump sum investment that makes sense for them. Now, lump sum investment is generally suitable for people who have the ability to time the market and have high risk tolerance. So I think SIP has only pros and pros. There's no cons.
So I got a very clear understanding about the importance of financial planning, how we can do, and the savings are very important. And I think the first choice may be mutual funds and SIP
Yes.
can be for the savings purpose, right? But we would also like to explore or deep dive into insurance, because when you take a health insurance, there are a lot of parameters are there which we don't even understand, or we don't even bother to go through the clauses and all. So maybe sometime later when we connect, we can have a very detailed discussion onto insurance, and you can give your insights onto it, so that next time when we go for a health insurance or any other like a car insurance or any other form of insurance, we can understand, read the terms and clauses, and then we can have a
Absolutely,
discussion about
absolutely.
it, right? Sure. So, Ruchika, thank you. Thank you for sharing your time and giving this wonderful insights. And very soon, I think for the insurance part, we'll again reconnect with you.
Thank you so much, so much for having me over. It was a pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you.